Transformers of Eternia.
You're watching Transformers of Eternia. Now this week I'm going to do something a little different. In this video I'm going to give my thoughts on the best villains in the Transformers universe. Now I'm not a comic book reader and I don't know everything, so please bear with me as I go through this, but I do know a lot about Transformers. But before I do that, please hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this video. It helps out my channel greatly, and I also would like it if you hit the like button and comment in the comment section below, because I always want to hear what you guys think of these things. So that's pretty much it for all that stuff. Now let's get to the stuff that we want to talk about. Now these characters are not in any particular order, so I'm not putting them in some kind of order to where you can do a top 10 or whatever type of thing. This is just kind of how I feel on each level of each villain and what I think of them. So that's kind of how this video is going to go. Okay, so the first one is the Fallen. And I picked the Fallen because I always thought that the Fallen was freaking awesome. And when I say the Fallen, I'm not talking about the one from the Michael Bay movie, because that one's kind of skinny and kind of weird. I'm talking about the Fallen from the War Within comic books, which I actually didn't read much of, but I always seen the images and how I know the background on him, that he's like basically the devil. He's like one of the first like primes or whatever that they basically banned him. He's basically the devil, and he's perpetually on fire. So yeah. And from a toy standpoint, we really never got a great action figure of the Fallen. I thought for a little while we were going to actually get one here in the new Transformers lines of like Generations, Legacy, and all this stuff. But no, we got Tarn instead, which I don't mind at all, but I just think that the Fallen would be a very cool like leader class villain to have. But I don't know how they're going to do the perpetual fire on the orange glow on the inside. I guess it'll be paint or whatever. But yeah, I really would like to get a Fallen villain leader, like a leader or whatever, for the Decepticons. That would be awesome, and have him be cool and not like half whatever. They always make him look weird. I would rather just stick to the way he looks in the War Within comic books and just kind of do that kind of look, because of the flames looks cool. So next up is Tarn. I don't know a whole lot about this because it was a comic book villain basically, but he does cover his face with a Decepticon like logo, like a mask, which is kind of strange, because that kind of I'll reflect more on that later in the next type of thing, because there's more coming up about that. And he's basically just a bad guy that just wants revenge type of. He's a very loyal to the Decepticons and all that. And this guy, he's cool. I mean, the toy is cool for the Legacy, whatever Legacy. Anyway, that Voyager class figure is awesome. I got it and I love it. But it'd be nice if they actually didn't try to copy this and other stuff. It seems like they try to use Tarn, but they don't want to use him and other stuff. Anyway, I'll just get to the next one because Tarn is cool and everything. But I got a little more I want to talk about Tarn mixing in with other characters. So now we get to Scourge. Now Scourge was cool in the Robots in Disguise cartoon series. He wasn't like a super main bad guy, but he was a cool villain. And he's basically our Optimus Prime repaint, and like, you know, Laser Prime repaint or whatever. And he kind of turned him into this other thing. But he became his own little thing in that show. I thought that was kind of cool that they could actually pull it off, that they're turning this alternate version of Prime basically into a villain that stands on his own. And then later on, they tried to take that and kind of use that and turn that into something else in the Rise of the Beast movie, where he looks really different. But once again, he's kind of like Tarn. He's got this mask on instead of his original, like having the look that he has in the Robots in Disguise series. And the mask reminds me of Tarn a lot because it looks like a Decepticon symbol in a lot of ways, except for it's just this new symbol for the Terrorcons or whatever. But whatever. And so he wears this thing, and of course near the end of the movie, spoilers if you didn't see it, he kind of rips that, it kind of comes off and he looks weird. It's just kind of strange that they had to do that. Now I know it's probably a nod to Tarn, But why didn't they just use Tarn in that movie? That'd be kind of cool. If they used Tarn, I'd be happy with it. I would have thought that was a cool villain, especially if he turned into the tank thing that he turns into with all the guns on his arms. Tarn is a cool looking villain, and he would look awesome. But Scourge in that movie, I just think he looked like a rusty truck that kind of reminded me of the Dark of the Moon Megatron. So I don't know. It's just the way it is. I'm not a big fan of the movies because of the stupid things that they do in the movies. Doesn't make as much sense as they did in the original thing. So now we get to Lockdown. Lockdown is cool. Animated made him very cool. I never thought I would like animated, and then I liked animated. And then when I liked animated, then they had this new character called Lockdown that came along, and I freaking loved him too. And I'm still waiting to get a Lockdown in the Generations, Legacy, whatever Transformers series, because he is a cool enough character that you should actually do a very good version of him, because this is a good character. And in the movies, I didn't really care for him because his head turns into a gun. It's just the weird stuff with the movies again. I'm not a big fan of the movies. There's always all these weird things that they always do in movies for some reason. And for some reason, when they create these characters, they didn't do all these things, but they knew how to make them cool. So it's like the movies just try to copy things, but they never get it right. So it's better to go back to the source. That's what I say. But yeah, Lockdown is freaking awesome, and he's more of a he's just got a lot of gravitas. When he comes in the room, you're just like, man, this guy, he commands a lot of respect, no matter if he's good or bad, you know? So anyway, Lockdown I had to put in there because he's a great villain. So now we get to the Quintessons. Of course you have to have the Quintessons. If you're going to talk about villains in Transformers universe, you have to address the Quintessons. So these guys were freaking awesome. I like the original Generation 1 cartoon series thing where they talked about how the Quintessons had created the Autobots and Decepticons for two different, like one was military and one was more or less factory worker type slaves. I just like that story. I wish they could incorporate that into a movie at some point, but for some reason they just never, they kind of talk around the Quintessons and they never really hit the nail on the head with them. But yeah, the Quintessons are freaking awesome. They've always been a cool little background villain that's like controlling the things in the background, it seems. And it would be awesome if they could actually get these things right in some kind of a format, video game, movie, whatever. Because the Quintessons have always been very cool. So now we get to Galvatron. You have to address Galvatron if you're going to talk about villains in any shape or form in the Transformers universe. If you don't talk about Galvatron, then you're not really talking about Transformers properly. But yeah, so Galvatron, and I was kind of torn how I'm going to address this before what character or how, because the arrangement. Because Galvatron leads to Unicron, and we all know what that's going to deal with. But Unicron is cool and everything, but Galvatron was made by Unicron. So it's basically Megatron just made more mega, I guess. But yeah, Galvatron is cool. He's kind of had his issues with his screws coming loose a few times and kind of going crazy. But yeah, he's a cool villain. He looks cool, and I think that they originally wanted to just kill Megatron to remake a new character so they could sell toys. But it worked out in the end because he is kind of cool. I mean, the design is very cool looking. So I guess it worked out for the better for all of us, So yeah, Galvatron is freaking awesome, and he basically has the guts to actually kill Starscream, which is more than Megatron apparently, so that kind of amps him up a little bit higher, I guess. So of course we got to get to Unicron then next, because obviously Unicron is the one that created Galvatron. So Unicron is freaking awesome. Obviously he's a planet that eats planets, and he's also kind of this giant being, kind of like Galactus in the Marvel universe. But Unicron is just cool because he can transform, into a planet and then also into this giant awesome looking robot. And it's very cool when they use him. The Rise of the Beast movie didn't use him wrongly, I guess. He did look like his planet form. We never got him transformed, unfortunately. But that part of the movie I didn't mind as much. I just kind of wish we would see a little bit more of him doing damage. That's the part that kind of bugged me about that. It's like he just shows up and he sends his people out, kind of like heralds of Galactus type of thing, and then they do damage, and then he just kind of shows up, and it's like, does he eat planets very much? It's kind of given they give you the idea that he eats planets, but we never actually get to see a lot of that. I mean, the damage is done, but so it'd be nice to see more of that in things. But Unicron is freaking awesome, and I hate to say this because I don't really like the movies, but I wish they would just do the Transformers movie, the cartoon movie, and just remake that with a good budget and turn that into a live action Transformers movie. And maybe kind of add a little bit of stuff to kind of fill in the gaps so people know why this is happening and what's happening with this, and have a lot more characters. Unfortunately, it would cost a lot of money to have a lot of Transformer characters that look different and not just kind of be reusing the same characters over and over. But I don't know, it's just something I thought about, and maybe they shouldn't do it because nowadays when they remake stuff, they try to put messages in and everything and kind of preach to people and kind of yell at you and call you names if you don't like the thing or whatever. So maybe that's probably, I take that back. It's probably not a good idea for them to do anything with movies and touch any of these franchises, actually, because the people that are running these things just can't seem to stop messaging and kind of preaching at people and talking down to them whenever they don't like it. So it's probably better they just stop playing around with any of this stuff. So now I decided I'll do Megatron last because he is the primary main villain of Transformers that we get most every time. And he is the one that I like the most. I've always loved Megatron. I've always enjoyed him. He kind of almost has this grim kind of sense of humor, and just the way he is in like the G1 Megatron anyway. He's just there's different versions of Megatron, but Megatron is always going to be the main form of Megatron, you know what I mean? Out of all the villains in the Transformers universe, Megatron is the one I always think that I love the best for the villains, because he's just such a great villain. I mean, he literally wants peace through tyranny. I mean, that's kind of hard to get, but okay. But, I mean, I guess if he thinks he's going to just destroy everybody, I mean, so this guy, I mean, in a sense, he's kind of like a Nazi, like a Adolf Hitler in a sense, because he wants to destroy, like, most of the people that don't follow him. And so if he just wants to literally get rid of people if they don't follow his kind of like his political status, like if they don't follow his political views, then get rid of them and we'll have peace, that kind of attitude. And that's just how evil this guy is. So it's just like ridiculous that, he thinks this way, but we have to have heroes, and that's the reason why we need heroes in the Transformers universe. And that's why we got Optimus Prime, who actually gives everybody the right to make their decisions and freedom, and freedom is always great, and because of that, we get Optimus Prime as our hero, and everyone wants to follow him because we like freedom. We like to be able to make our own decisions and be our own selves and be who we are. So that's just the reason why Megatron plays so well off of Optimus Prime, and that whole aspect is very cool. But I don't want to talk forever on this stuff. I just kind of want to go over the villains of the Transformers universe. Now, I know there's other villains out there, but these are like the primary ones that people have recognized and know from recent times and throughout the Transformers time period. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section below telling me what you think of some of these guys and who you thought maybe should have fit into this. I don't know. I'm sure that there's a couple other ones that I could have put in here, but I don't want to make the video super long. So leave a comment in the comment section below, like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.